research ethics, informed consent, confidentiality, scientific integrity, and deception. A.Rosedale, Aspen University, EDP 820, Ethics and Professional Standards in Psychology. Dr. Eric Eastman, July 25th, 2022. Professional boundaries in psychology are designed to protect both the psychologist and the client. Boundaries provide a space to allow the best work possible between patient and caregiver and allow the psychologist to conduct and use clinical judgment without influence or bias. Emotions may run high in a client and caregiver relationship, and boundaries allow guides to help keep therapy sessions and the overall relationship in line. Boundaries can help the client model behaviors and identify the root issues they are experiencing. Boundaries can serve to help diagnose the client. Boundaries are set on experience. Boundaries create a solid foundation in the mental health care industry. In psychology, boundaries include client confidentiality, informed consent, dealing with juvenile patients who become 18 while in mental health care facility or care, and parental notification. Mental health care clients have the right to privacy and have the right to share or have shared information with their families to the extent the client desires. Psychologists are bound through their ethical code to protect the privacy of their clients and maintain a discreet relationship. Psychologists should maintain a professional relationship and avoid contact with their clients outside of the healthcare setting by avoiding the same social circles or connecting with clients on social media. If a psychologist wants to discuss a client's concerns and behaviors with family members, the connection to the family members is solely based on a decision made by the client. There are occasions when a psychologist may break confidentiality. While governed more specifically by local, state, and federal laws, the general categories of when a psychologist may break confidentiality occurs when the psychologist receives a qualifying court order or the client directs his caregiver to share information with a third party about the case. In more severe incidents, a psychologist will break confidentiality when the psychologist discovers or suspects child, elder, or dependent care abuse, or when a client poses an imminent danger to themselves or others. Breaking confidentiality is never taken lightly, and a mental health caregiver needs to consider several factors before breaking the confidentiality he has built with his client. Informed consent is generally a process where clients are provided with important information about elements of their treatment. This may include information on the possible risks and the possible benefits of a treatment, how a treatment procedure takes place, if the client participates in some sort of testing, and the guidelines and limits of the client-caregiver confidentiality. Informed consent usually has three components. These three components include the disclosure of information, the competency of the patient's or patient's surrogate to make a decision, and the voluntary nature of the decision-making process by the patient or surrogate. For consent to be considered informed, formal forms need to be accompanied by an information sheet outlining the information of the treatment, research study, or in some cases, classes involving practical skills the participants will be involved in. The formality of these forms include details on how the participants can be contacted and often how the client's family can be contacted if necessary. During the process where informed consent is outlined and requested, a statement that the client understands his participation is voluntary and the client can withdraw from the treatment or study at any time, and that the withdrawal will not result in any negative consequences felt by the client for his withdrawal must be included and clearly stated. Clients who are under the age of 18 years will need parental permission to attend therapy or be admitted into mental health treatment. Oftentimes, children under the age of 18 enter mental health care because a parent wants their child to receive treatment, even if the child does not wish to participate in mental health care. When a child reaches the age of 18, they are recognized as an adult and are allowed, in most instances, to make their own decisions about their health, welfare, and continue treatment in mental health care. Conservatorship, also called adult guardianship, may be necessary for parents who believe their child, although turning 18 years old, is still not capable of caring for himself and needs further mental health care, which requires someone like a parent or guardian to help make the right decisions for them. Conservatorships are time-consuming, expensive, and often require a court order. Court records are public records, and such actions like a conservatorship will follow the new adult into their adult life. A buy-in from the resistant teen to adult may be the best avenue of approach to continue the necessary health care for the patient who will soon turn 18 years old. Listening to why the teen does not wish to continue health care is important, and being able to present a reasonable response to each of the teen's concerns is important. It is important to consider the thoughts and feelings of a teen who is going to cross the threshold and become a legal adult. Parents and guardians have the right, legally, to consent to their child's treatment, to decide the boundaries for the treatment, and even have access to all the information that involves the child's mental health care. Parents, the child, and the psychologist should consider the appropriateness of the practical application for parental notification. Healthcare providers should carefully consider his minor's client's desires on what information gets released to the client's parents or guardians. The goals of mental health care may not be reachable if the juvenile client does not feel comfortable with opening up to the caregiver, in fear that the client will be mocked, reprimanded, or disciplined for sharing information about family members or the client's home life with the psychologist. The psychologist should present boundaries and guidelines to the parents or guardian and the client before engaging in treatment. Knowing what thresholds exist and what will cause the caregiver to provide confidential information to the parents or guardian should be defined and understood by all involved parties. Boundaries should also be reevaluated when the client's parents or guardian request confidential information due to some negative change in behavior by the client. Parental notification can have a serious impact on the level of trust between the caregiver and the juvenile client.